What happens when two dudes, one a retired Navy SEAL commander in Colorado Springs, and the other a hippie meditation teacher in New York City, get together to discuss living mindfully? That's a great question, because we don't know what will happen either. Raw, uncut, and unapologetic. Welcome to Men Talking Mindfulness with co-hosts John McCaskill and Will Schneider. Each week, we take an authentic dive into how mindfulness continually impacts our lives, deepens our relationships, and allows us to be emotionally alive. We filter all of our conversations through the man box, where we unpack how as men we are expected to act in society, how fighting the authentic human experience is exhausting and damaging, and how mindfulness can help. Now, on to the show.
All right, Will, how are you, brother?
John, I can hear you. This is so strange.
Right? So here we are, man. Men Talking Mindfulness on a whole new platform, the Spotify Greenroom. We're excited to see how this experiment works, and I see some people joining the room. Great to have you guys. If you guys are wanting to contribute to the conversation, what Will and I are going to be talking about today, we're going to be talking about drugs. and the positive and negative sides of that, what can and cannot go wrong, what's good and bad, the respect, the abuse, the understanding of these different medicines, and we're excited to have you guys joining us. So if you're joining the room, hey, welcome. Men Talking Mindfulness, and again, talking about drugs today. And Will, glad to have you here, brother. How are you?
Good, John. I'm really excited. We're doing these green rooms to deepen our discussion, to also engage with our audience in an audio format. And I enjoy receiving the comments when we go live on LinkedIn and the other platforms. But to have this opportunity with the new Spotify green room, which we're going to try to make the most of, to actually support the show, this is great, and especially this topic, John, because we're hearing more and more about psychedelics, about plant medicine, and all these drugs and different types of drugs and medicines really that have been kept from us for so long because of the moral panic, and now we're getting to understand them a little bit deeper. And from my experience with them and from your lack of experience with them, but gaining experience slowly, I'm excited to have a lively discussion today. So we have 7 people on. So
right on.
How should we kick off, John? What do you think we should, in this new format, in this new adventure?
Yeah, exactly. We should begin? Well, I mean, I think we'd be remiss if we kicked off a Men Talking Mindfulness without a quick grounding practice at least. So
yes.
For those of you who have never listened to the podcast, welcome to the podcast. How we do this is we started off with a grounding practice. We end with a grounding practice, but we are experimenting with Green Room. So this might be new. It may work. It may not. And for those who have joined just since Will and I started talking, again, what we're going to be discussing today is the various plant medicines that are out there and how to use them in the right way, how they can be abused, respect for them, etc. So that said, hey, Will, I'll kick it off with a simple grounding practice. And if you're in the audience, down in the audience, please, if you want to contribute to the conversation, please let us know. Raise your hand and invite some others to the room too. We'd love to hear everybody's perspective and everybody's comments. So that said, go ahead, get comfortable. If you're driving, don't close your eyes. If you're doing anything that you need to be able to see what's going on, please don't close your eyes. But if you're able to and you feel comfortable doing so, go ahead and just close your eyes and bring your attention to your breath. And we're just going to do a very simple breathing exercise, some breath work, bringing our attention very intentionally to our breath, focusing on the air passing in and out of our bodies. So for the first thing, let's just let all our breath go with a simple out breath. Now breathe in nice and deep in through your nose. Hold that for a second and let it go. Breathe in through the nose, paying attention to the actual physical sensation of breathing in, and hold that. And relax, paying attention to the physical sensation of breathing out. Breathing in, paying attention to the air coming in and expanding your lungs, expanding your belly, your chest. Hold that and relax, breathing out, letting your air go out, noticing the contracting of your lungs and belly. And now just breathe naturally. Again, paying attention to the physical sensation of breathing, the in and out, and notice where you are compared to where we started in your body, in your mind, and in your nervous system. And now when you're ready, go ahead and bring some movement back into your body. Maybe rotate your head around, get some looseness in your neck. And here we are, Men Talking Mindfulness on a whole new platform. Again, today we're going to be talking about different psychedelics and pathogens, cannabinoids, the positive sides of it, what you can do to really heal from it, to use it therapeutically. And we've got some great members down in the audience. Welcome, guys. Great to see you all. Love to hear from you all. If you have any comments, any addition to the conversation, please raise your hand and we'd love to bring you up on stage. And then you will be part of the podcast, part of the Men Talking Mindfulness podcast moving forward. So, yeah. Will, where do you want to start? Maybe we should start with that disclaimer that we had on the podcast last week.
Great point, brother. I'll read that again, just everybody. But also we invite everybody's questions as well. Like, please, questions for John, questions for myself. And I'll say if we can't answer the questions now, just because we don't have the information, then we will get back to you and we'll post it somewhere else. Because this is a educational and platform and a community platform. We're here for you. So here's our disclaimer, right? Please be advised that the podcast and the green room you're about to listen to is for entertainment purposes only and should not be considered medical advice. The information, statements, comments, views, and opinions expressed in this green room /podcast do not constitute and should not be construed as an endorsement, approval, or recommendation to partake in recreational drug use. Not medical. This is not medical advice, purely informational purposes. We suggest doing tons of research before taking anything that we talk about here. We're going to talk about the positive and the precautions and much more. So that's our disclaimer, John. And what if we start off, or we'll just kind of ask someone to step up on stage and maybe ask a question or leave a comment about it or a confusion or something like that. So. Or John, take it away, or something you want to plug in that we didn't say or didn't mention, or something you might be able to fill in a hole from the podcast, please.
For sure. And I see Clint has rogered up to come up on stage,
nice.
So we'll bring him up. Our first guest on the Green Room. Let's hear from Clint. Clint is a fellow Navy commander, still active though. Clint, good to see you.
Clint.
How are you, brother?
Hey, John, I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Doing great.
Hey, Clint, good as well. Thanks for
coming on. Yeah, thanks for doing this.
You're so welcome.
So it's a question, comment, or I don't know, whatever it is, but
WTF.
Yeah, probably. But John, like John said, I'm still on active duty, and I've never touched a single drug in my entire life. But listening to some of the guys that have gone down to Costa Rica and they've done that whole experience.
Ayahuasca.
It's kind of painting it in a different light. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Like frog legs or something like that.
Poof, maybe the frog.
The toad.
Yeah.
The toad, the 5-MeO DMT.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, just kind of listening to those and opening my eyes up to it, it's kind of painted it in a different light. And like I said, it's mildly frowned upon in the military to do any of that right now. But I think, listening to this and kind of, I'm at 20 years right now and kind of on the downslope. Mm-hmm. So I think hearing this is going to be very beneficial. So I'm excited to hear what you guys have to say about it.
Well, Clint, let me ask you, like, what kind of, this is what brings you to, this particular platform, what brings you to this topic? Like, where are you, obviously you can't partake, but like, where are you in your investigation stage or something like that? If you want to share that with us, I think it'd be great to hear from you.
I think. Well, I live in the Washington State, so you can't swing a dead cat without hitting a cannabis store up here.
Exactly.
So anybody that wants to come visit me, that's the first thing. Like, hey, let's go to a weed store. I'm like, okay, sure. So I think that would be I think that would be my first step.
Yeah. Yeah.
My first reaction, because I know a lot of people that have used it. I know, a lot of people that have had benefits from that, whether it's, medicinal use or for PTSD or anxiety or something like that.
Right.
So I think that would be where I would start.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, and this topic in particular, it just attracts you because you just want a different experience, or you want to get deeper into your mind, or have some more fun, or you know what I mean? What's that draw to this topic, this conversation, and these things?
I think, with me, for about 20 years now in the military, I've always been that rebellious kind of type. So maybe that would have something to do with it. But
yeah,
I think it's curious having a good time and being able to relax without going into a lot of detail from, PTSD treatment I've done. I did not want to do any kind of medication with SSRIs or anything like that. So I found EMDR, and I've done that. And I think this would also be a great partner with that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Will, I'll jump in, man.
Yeah.
So Clint was actually one of the guests on the Veterans Path podcast when I used to host that. And the EMDR is a phenomenal technique. And I will ask if you're not talking, maybe mute, because I'm getting a little feedback. So Clint, if you could just mute yours as well on your end. But the EMDR is fantastic therapy, and definitely the therapies. A lot of the alternative therapies are out there that are out there. EMDR, mindfulness, meditation, tapping, a lot of those. And Will, you can speak to this here in a second, can really set you up for success for using some of these other alternative therapies, the plant medicines that are out there. They can set you up pre-use and then set you up for post-use, the integration part. And then also, I think those therapies allow you to have a respect for alternative therapies. And that's what these medicines are. They're alternative therapies. And having that respect for all this is critical. That's what we spoke about in the last episode, was that's the key word for use of any of these, is a healthy understanding of the set and setting. So by set, we mean your mindset going into using these, and setting is where you are, who you're surrounded by, are you safe? So mindset, and then the physical setting, set and setting, and then the respect for these things. And I think having dabbled in alternative therapies before, I believe is going to set you up for success if you do, after your service, look at use of alternative therapies elsewhere. So that's my 2 cents. Will, anything?
No, I think you're right, John. That's a great, in some ways, a good first step to, kind of getting out of the traditional medical treatment of things, drugs and, surgery or even psychotherapy or something like that. And also, what Clinton mentioned, SSRIs and that sort of thing, which can be helpful, but it is limited. And, I think one of the reasons we're having this discussion, and one of the reasons we keep hearing more about these alternative therapies, whether it's like with some sort of an induction because of some sort of substance, or because of breathing, or because of tapping, or because of EDMR, right? It really begins, I think, gives you the confidence and understanding that there is a way to hack in the body, right? Without, with the breathing and EDMR and tapping and stuff like that, that can actually have a very profound, in a lot of cases, in some cases, experience. And then to take it a step further by using, an enhancement like a cannabinoid or an pathogen like MDMA, it could just really help you gain the confidence to take that step, to do, an alternative therapy and an actual alternative drug. So that's how I like to weigh in on that. And I think it's one thing I will say, it's like I've done, and I mentioned the podcast, I've done lots of research on all this stuff before I did anything, because I want to know physically what's going to happen to me, mentally, maybe what the experience is like, and really asking a lot of questions from the teachers that are around me and the facilitators and shamans and stuff like that. So I think, so that's, it's great. I'm glad you look in this direction, Clint, and everyone that else is on in this discussion as well. we'd love to hear from you as well. About maybe what is it like to take that first step, or what are you looking to do in a first step kind of situation, or what is it like beyond that first step, and then maybe talk about your first experience.
Absolutely. I'd love to hear from the group for first experiences or anything else. And I see Jennifer Tracy, who emailed me before. We'll bring you up on stage to hear what you have to say. Great to see you, Jennifer. How are you?
I'm great. How are you guys doing today?
Good to have you.
Good. Thanks.
Thanks for letting me hang with a group of kind of scary looking guys. So I don't know if you know, John, that I'm from Colorado.
I didn't know that.
I'm a Colorado native. Yeah. And before moving out to Florida, talking about all of this kind of stuff was out there in Colorado.
We're losing you a little bit, Jennifer. I think we may have a bad connection with you. I don't know if you can hear us.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. This is the first time I'm chiming in anywhere on this kind of thing, so bear with me on that.
We've got you loud and clear now.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for having me, guys. Yeah, so one of the fun things for me is, I know you guys probably don't know me, but it's been 9 years ago, I had a Chiari-1 brain malformation decompression. So my brain actually grew outside of my skull down into my spine on both sides. I had what they call like tonsils. And really to manage the pain, I was having to have these nerve ablations done. And like I said, I was from Colorado, and at the time, John, I was speaking publicly across the state, and it was really, really tough because I've never done drugs, none at all. And talking about the stuff that you guys are talking about today, I think is so important because when we legalized it there in Colorado, one of the big things that I had to fight really hard for was being able to use it medicinally, not myself personally, but just really bringing that to the forefront that people who are suffering from PTSD or post-traumatic stress or trauma or anything like that, how can we navigate to bring this to the forefront and offer it as an alternative? So what I love today, a reason why I kind of thought it would be fun to jump in with all of you guys. Thanks for letting me hang with you. What I loved what you said is how it can pair really well with other things, how to respect it. And I myself have done EMDR. It's actually, EMDR is my choice of really recovery. When my husband and daughter were killed in a horrific car crash, EMDR was really the one thing that I did to bust through the nightmares and the flashbacks that I would just have. But I wish back then, so this was 17 years ago when they died, doing EMDR can kind of put your body into this hyper arousal. It brings a lot of things up. And so I love this conversation that you guys are having, because these types of things, I think if we would be more educated on it, I think being able to use something like this back then for me would have come alongside and helped me when I was done with a session. But there was still so much stigma back then that there was no way I would have even touched it. So that's why I thought I would kind of chime in today, is just, I love what you guys are doing about really bringing awareness to these things. So thanks for all you're doing.
Well, thank you, Jennifer, and thank you for sharing your experience and love what you're doing in this space, in the mental health space, and really helping others to find their own strength after adversity, after trauma, after overcoming challenges, and helping them to overcome those challenges too. And it's just incredibly powerful what you're doing, and looking forward to working with you down the road sometime. Yeah. I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
And
So
then let
thanks.
me ask you, let me ask you, Jennifer, anything that you're, that you take now, alternative medicines like CBD or THC or anything like that, that kind of, keeps you in more of a neutral place or whatever. I'm just curious.
So because of the Chiari brain, what I've discovered is that barometric pressure plus altitude and temperature, it's those three together, is what causes the inflammation with a titanium plate in the back of my head. And so 3 years ago, I made the move out of Colorado out to Florida, and I actually wake up here pain-free every day. So I'm not having to take any type of medications for the Chiari brain, or, I'm not having to have those surgeries. During COVID, being locked up, I've definitely been having some, severe triggers. And so I've been trying to open my mind to what are some things that I could do to treat, my PTSD symptoms, or, things like that. I'm more of a science person. So I take amitriptyline. It's 25 milligrams, and I take that every night to sleep. And I've taken that now for 17 years. It's something that I talk about with my firefighters and police officers because it is something that they can safely take while they're still working.
Could you describe what that is?
Yeah, amitriptyline is like one of the oldest antidepressants. It has very, very little side effects. Probably the worst thing it does for me is dry mouth, whereas a lot of the other medications back then that I either was on when Brian and Brittany were first killed or tried and that I didn't like, there's a lot of side effects to it, sexual dysfunction, some of the sleeping things. Like, what was that one, you guys, where people were actually driving while they were sleeping? Can you remember that? What was that?
Oh my gosh, I've taken it. Anybody in the group up here? It's just a simple sleeping pill. I would do things. Oh my gosh, I'm spacing on the name of it.
Melatonin.
Ambien.
No,
there it is.
Ambien.
I think Dave saved us there. Thanks,
you.
Dave.
Yeah. Okay. So again, things like that, where it's like you say something like, well, I'm struggling to sleep. Right. And you say Ambien and people are just like, oh my gosh. Right. So amitriptyline, it has kept me steady, you guys. I take 25 milligrams every single night, and I sleep. It's part of my well-being practice. But obviously the Chiari brain is something entirely different, right? If that gets inflamed, or if I fly in somewhere to speak, I never know what I'm flying into. And so I want to be able to open my mind to what is a safe practice, which again, I love what you said, John, about respecting it, understanding. I like what you said, Will, about researching it and not having any stigma associated. That would be my thing for myself personally, because being a leader, I don't want to be judged on either side, right? If I say, yeah, I've gone in and done an EMDR session, and afterwards, I do X, Y, and Z. I don't want to be judged on either side. So, did that answer your question?
Yes, it just that's a prescription. The 25 milligrams of amitriptyline. Is that what you said?
Yeah,
that's by
amitriptyline.
Amitriptyline. That's by prescription, correct? Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good to know. I haven't actually heard of that. That's not, you said it's an old drug, so thanks for bringing that up.
And I want to chime in with what Jennifer wrapped up with there, and then we're going to open it up to Nabi and Dave, who are up on the stage as well. But Jennifer, you mentioned not being judged on either side of that, right? And I think we are, if people are taking antidepressants or anti-anxiety medication, there's not a whole lot of stigma around that anymore. I mean, you turn on the TV and every second commercial is an antidepressant or anti-anxiety medication. And a lot of those have the side effects that some of these medicines that we're talking about now don't have. They do have their own side effects, and we could get into that in another episode. And we do get into that in the formal podcast that we did last week on this. But there's not a lot of judgment. If somebody finds out that you're on some antidepressant or anti-anxiety, there's not a lot of judgment. But somebody finds out that you're doing some type of psychedelic or empathogen, or if you're, maybe taking a puff of marijuana before you go to sleep, there's that kind of stigma is like, oh, that person's a druggie. and we need to change that. We need to change that story. We need to change that that perception. So thank you, Jennifer. Certainly no judgment from our side, and hopefully from none of our listeners. Nabi, welcome to the stage. I'd love to hear from you. How you doing, brother?
Good. Thanks for having me, John. Well, appreciate being on here.
Nabi. Thanks for.
And yeah, love what you guys are doing. As far as my experience, in high school, I definitely experimented with, marijuana, and then joined the Marine Corps after high school. So didn't touch it in, 20 years. And then in 2017, was diagnosed with cancer. And so, of course, I was going in there thinking, I'm going to be the hard ass and badass, and, I'm just going to push through this, work out, and, show people what I can do. Well, cancer was one of the most humbling experiences I ever had to go through. And I mean, it kicked my ass. And so as I was going through the process of chemotherapy, had someone recommend, marijuana to help with dealing with all the side effects. And, I'll tell you, it made a huge difference for me. And, I think it was a big reason why, I was able to beat the cancer. And, I'm not saying that it's a cure-all, but it definitely was a contributing factor to helping me cope with what I was going through during that time. And since then, unfortunately, I've had several other friends who have also had cancer, and they also, use marijuana to help them get through the chemotherapy. And it just night and day between what you're able to accomplish and how you're able to cope as you go through it when you don't have those resources available. And then in addition to that, I've had 3 back surgeries due to the parachuting from the Marine Corps, and I use CBD on a daily basis, and I think it makes a huge difference in the inflammation and just my body aches, that I have to deal with. So for me, those resources are huge, as opposed to having to constantly take ibuprofen or naproxen or Vicodin or whatever it is to deal with that pain. And I'm definitely open to, even wanting to try, ayahuasca or something like that. If I ever get the money and the ability, I'd love to be able to, experiment with that and just see what else is capable when you have that mind-body connection.
What was the, if I can ask you, what was, so how did the cannabis help you with your cancer treatment? Like, what was it like, not with cannabis, what was it like with cannabis? Just to kind of, just to talk about the medicinal properties.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so, when I was going through the chemo, when I first started, it was, just the pain across my body and the, throwing up and just the, fog brain and just not being able to, do anything. I just was so lethargic. And I know that the stigma of marijuana is that, you're lazy and just want to relax. But for me, when I, used marijuana when I was going through chemo, it just allowed me to cope with the pain better, cope with the side effects, cope with throwing up and all that, so that I was able to still be productive, and I still was able to have some sense of normalcy. Actually, I completed my bachelor's degree as I was going through chemo, and I don't think that would have been possible if I wasn't, able to use that ailment or that medicine.
No, I mean, that's incredible, man. That's absolutely incredible. I mean, it gave you a quality of life, right? And that's what I think that we're talking about with a lot of these medicines, is that if you use them in the right way, with respect, without abuse, you understand how to use them, they can potentially give you a quality of life back. And the fact that you were able to get your bachelor's during chemo because of the quality of life that you were given back because of your use of cannabis, that's huge. I mean, that's fantastic. So congratulations, Nabi. And I applaud you for what you've done. and I applaud you for sharing that so openly and being open and vulnerable about sharing that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And quickly, just to reset the room for those who may have joined us. So we're here, Men Talking Mindfulness. We're a podcast, myself and Wheal Schneider. And we're specifically in this particular episode here, dabbling in the Spotify Greenroom for our first time and bringing up some of our guests, our listeners, to speak specifically about their use of different plant medicines or to ask questions about them. And we've talked about respect, abuse, understanding of these various medicines. And the disclaimer, just the kind of distilled quick version of it, is this is for entertainment purposes only. We do not promote or support necessarily use of any of this. Please do your own research on that. That said, I see Dave Morrow up here on the stage. I'd love to hear from you, brother. How are you?
Hey, John, I'm great. This is an awesome format. Thanks for sending me an invite. It's really cool to be here.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if I'm the only Canadian here, but I'll gladly share my.
I think you are.
My point of view from. Am I? Okay, cool. So, anyways, just a bit of context. I spent 15 years in the reserves here in Canada, and spent some time in the desert in Afghanistan in 2010. Me and John have actually sat down on my podcast and had a really cool conversation. And since then, I've been following John's stuff, so it's cool to be here on this platform. I think I'm going to use it for my podcast coming up. John, I think you started something here. It's a good idea. So with respects to cannabis, the interesting thing here is that our VA, it's free for anybody that has any condition that's service related. So in my case, I was released medically because of back, knee, and mental health issues, PTSD, and stuff like that. So I was able to get my prescription. And the funny thing was, I'd never used really, like even in high school, I never used any drug. Like the only thing I did is I would drink. And so that was always my go-to when it came to, I guess, blowing off steam or needed to down-regulate, I would drink. And I didn't over-abuse it, but I never had any alternatives. Just once I started and I got my first order, I didn't know what I was doing. So I started light.
Yeah, we were losing you a little bit, Dave. We lost, about 5 or 6 sentences back, the introduction to this story. So sorry, I don't know what the connection is, but if you want to go back a little bit and start that story again.
The thing is, the antenna on my igloo kind of has to be shifted from time to time. So
I bet. Bring in the Mountaineers. Bring in the Mountaineers.
Yeah. I gotta call the Mounties to give me a hand. Coming on horseback, it's gonna take a while. So now that we got the stereotypes out of the way, the thing with cannabis is like I got injured, right? And our government here, so our VA allows us to use cannabis for free. So we get it delivered to our house, which is really convenient, and we get a wide variety of selections. So I didn't know what to select because I'd never used it before, but you know what? I saw the merits. My friends were using it, and they're like, "Yeah, it's really helped with pain management." And I was in a bad way. I was prescribed Vicodin and all these other drugs, and I knew that opioids are crazy addictive. I have a science background and knew the dangers of getting into opiates. So I didn't like the way it felt. I was like, this isn't a long-term solution. So on top of getting fit and figuring out how to actually move properly and start reducing pain and my back and knee issues, I started using a lot of CBD oil, and then started using, I would say, THC. So I'll smoke 3-4 times a week, usually at night, to kind of bring myself down. Like last night was a really long day, really stressful, and dealing with some stuff with respects to Afghanistan again, and the whole interpreter issue, which is common across all NATO countries right now. So it's bringing back some stuff from my tour for sure. It's motivating, but I need to kind of bring the anxiety down a little bit. So The other thing that's cool too is that we're opening up a whole bunch of different experiments with veterans with ketamine and MDMA. And I'm really curious about that. I'm curious about DMT. I'm curious about all the psychedelics, which I've never tried. So, with that being said, I've really embraced cannabis as a therapy, and I act as a cannabis guide for veterans here in Canada. It's for free. I just consult, and if they want to get a prescription, I can help them with their prescriptions. And it's been an interesting journey, and I think we're just scratching the surface here with therapy, with psychedelics, and it's going to be interesting to see what the research has to say. But I'm definitely a big fan, and it's cool to be having this chat here.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. That's wonderful, and I'm glad you're helping to facilitate other people, in this direction as well. I think it's very helpful, and like you mentioned, this is something that's not going away; it's only getting bigger. Especially, and there's been a lot of research that's happened decades ago that has been kind of kept from us that now is like being redone and reiterated. Something like MDMA is an incredible way to relax the mind, relax the body, get to know yourself on a deeper level. It's a really wonderful experience in every time I've done it. So, and I've done it in a kind of social setting, party setting, as well as like I've done it in like drums or like kind of like MDMA with a musical experience. So like you're wearing a mask, you're on MDMA, and they're having all these musical instruments playing around you with a group of people, and you're allowed to vocalize. So it's like it can be really a beautiful experience. As you mentioned, the empathogens, which we haven't really mentioned yet, and one of them, a big one, is that MDMA. But yeah, right. That's all I want to say right now.
So I'll just start to bring us to a close here. So, we've touched a little bit about, actually quite a bit about the cannabis, and we've touched a little bit on the psychedelics and pathogens. And thank you for sharing that, Dave, that about your use and your support of the use with your veteran friends there in Canada. We did have a pretty good resource. And I'll put the link when I share this publicly on the podcast. It had basically a wheel, and the wheel you can spin around. It's a wheel on the internet. You spin this around, and it has the various types of drugs. So you've got your empathogens, your cannabinoids, your uppers, lowers, etc. And then it shows you what drugs fall into that, and it shows you how you can use them. It shows you the plus and minus, positive and negative sides of it, and the side effects. And it's a really, really interesting wheel that we looked at. So we'll make sure that's in the resources when we publish this podcast. And then Nabi, if you here in the States, there's several veteran service organizations, 501c3s, that sponsor veterans going out to these different retreats. One of them is Heroic Hearts Project with Jesse Good, who will be on our podcast later this on the Men Talking Mindfulness podcast later this season. And then another one is called VETS, VETS. That's an acronym, and I believe it stands for Vets Exploring Treatment Solutions, VETS. And that one's founded by Marcus Capone, but they both support veterans getting down to either Costa Rica, Mexico, Peru, and getting support through some use of psychedelics. That all said, definitely appreciated this conversation, the questions. Love having the audience here, and very excited to dabble in this new platform. And we'll be sharing this podcast, this episode here very shortly, either later today or tomorrow. And love that you were here with us. Will, anything else from your side?
Nothing from here. Just a big thanks to everybody supporting the show in this format. I think this is, we'll continually do this as we grow this season, as MTM grows. And also I think it's important that we're open to suggestions as far as maybe how to format this a little bit better, or, maybe engage with us with comments or questions that we can bring into the platform, prior to getting to the show. Because again, this is all new for us. And it's just another way to connect, engage, and help, really, is most importantly. But also, if there's anybody else that has a comment or anything before we close, please jump on stage, and we'd love to hear from you. If not, we can close, John. I'm cool.
Right on. We'll give the countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I don't see any. Oh, there we go. We got one more. All right, yeah. Frank Munzie. All right, we'll bring you up on stage, Frank. Let me see. What did I do here? Push the wrong button. Here we go.
There you go. Hey, Frank.
Hey, right on. Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hey, Frank. How are you?
Hey, I just want to thank you for this. I'm a busy-minded person, meaning I don't sleep, and I'm an Ambien taker. And so I want to thank Jennifer for sharing the information on the amitriptyline, because I'm definitely, that requires some sort of substance to relax my thinking. And I'm not a doomsday kind of person. I just transition from one thought to another, literally until wee hours in the morning. So I just wanted to thank you all very much for this, because being able to explore options is helpful, and understanding the crazy stories about Ambien, it's probably going to be helpful for me as well. So I just wanted to thank you all.
Yeah, no, thank you. And Frank, I'll ask you, meditation is also a great, over time could be a great cure for insomnia as well. I don't know if you're doing that, but I want to offer that as well. Do you meditate at all?
I try.
Okay, got it.
It's so funny because when I'll do a countdown, and then I'll start thinking about the numbers, and then the numbers will transition me to an engine size on a car I'm working on. It's ridiculous. I'm not kidding.
No. Hey, I'm with you, man. But you know what? That's where your what I offer is that's where your meditation starts. Right. Like getting in touch with your mind, knowing that those numbers are meaningless. You know what I mean? And just dropping into the emptiness, if I may. And just really, so I just offer that because I know there's a lot of research out there on how meditation can help with insomnia and help with deeper sleep or something like that. And John and I are taping our mouth shut to go to sleep now, when it comes to James Nestor's book.
Well, thank you for that, Will.
So, but I'm just putting that out there for you, Frank, and please stay connected to us. And also what I would also want to offer, because we're building this community. So hopefully through our Mantic and Mindfulness community, we can connect you with somebody like Jennifer who wants to speak. But go ahead, jump in, Jennifer, please.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, Frank, have you heard of the Yoga Nidra?
I have not.
Okay, so that one, I am so much like you, Frank, where my mind just doesn't shut off. And with the Yoga Nidra, it's a little bit different. It's very guided. And so the whole time that you're laying there, it's really telling you from point A to B, like what to be thinking the whole time. And so there's not really a lot of time and space where your own mind gets to like do its thing. And so I would look into the Yoga Nidra. If you want, connect with me. And I've got a sample one that works really well for me because I tried so many other types of meditation. And I'm like you, I lay there and I was more frustrated because I was like, I can't get my mind to shut off long enough to do anything. So Yoga Nidra is one of my favorites.
Thank you.
And Yoga Nidra, it's like, from the yoga perspective, it's like a mind, body, breath, guided relaxation exercise practice, and it's a practice, so just listen. And I usually fall asleep. As soon as you lie on my back, I fall asleep, but that's just me. But it does work. And it's just a guided meditation for mind and body relaxation, using breath and using, visuals and guidance and stuff like that. So thanks for mentioning that, Jennifer. Great.
I'll definitely hit you up for that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's
Thanks,
what
guys.
this is for. This is to share that type of information. Love that. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Frank, for coming up and asking. And this is exactly what the platform is for. So thank you, guys.
Word.
Will, over to you, man. You want to wrap it up with a grounding practice?
Yes. Great, guys. We're gonna, I'm gonna teach directly to you, Frank. It's for everybody, but so stay on, everybody. You don't have to, you don't have to be up on stage for this, but again, this is for everybody, but this is really simply finding a calming, soothing breath is a great way to help get deeper in your body and relax your mind as well. So, if you're sitting down, great. If you're standing up, fine. Maybe just stop what you're doing and stand in one place. And we're just going to take some really smooth, like very deliberately smooth breaths from the very, very beginning of the inhale and the exhale, but also having a nice smooth transition between that inhale and exhale, just to really help sharpen your relaxation skills and sharpen what the experience of relaxation can be by bringing it like into your breath and then into your body and relaxing the mind. So close the eyes if you like, or keep the eyes open if you're driving, or do whatever, and exhale out through the nose, through the nose, through the nose. All right. Inhale through the nose for 4, 3, 2, 1. And then nice and smoothly from this transition point, exhaling smoothly out for 4, 3, 2, 1. And do it again. Inhale smoothly through the nose. 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice, David. Exhale easy. 4, 3. Ease all the way to the end. 2, 1. Let's go a little bit longer. Inhale. 5, 4, 3, 2. Just feel that breath filling in your body. Exhaling easy. Feel the breath leave your body for 3, 2, 1. Couple more. Inhale through the nose. 5. Exhale 5. Nice and easy. Control that breath, or you get to control our experience when we begin to recognize, become aware, control our breath. Let's do 2 more. Inhale 5. And this simple tool, this is like an alternative therapy as well. Just breathing, exhaling 5. Good. And 1 more. Inhale 5. And exhale 5. And just sit with yourself for a moment and just notice how you're feeling. Not judging, just noticing how you're feeling. Feel yourself, experience yourself physically, experience yourself emotionally, mentally, and just know that you're here, right now, in this moment, however you're feeling, and experiencing those things, mind, body, and emotions. And the breath is always going to, and again, it's another practice, the breathing, to just finding more of that breath throughout your day, or working with, My Steady Mind, BAMO, right? Breathe and move on. If you're feeling like a jacked up state of anxiety coming in, or you're in a jacked up state of anxiety, what if you just took 5 breaths? Realize, put your feet on the ground, realize and understand exactly where you are. You can't change tomorrow. It's not even ready. You can't change the past. So just be here. And I just want to say thank you. This has been already. I'm incredibly excited and inspired, John, by this format as well. And we'll be doing more of this. And thank you, guys. It's our first crew of 8, and Jennifer. Like, everybody's welcome, not just men. Everybody's welcome in this platform. We're just having to attract a lot of men. And we love, all energy, men, women, non-binary, whatever. Everybody's welcome to come on this platform and share their experiences. And I really enjoy hearing everybody's voice. Or people that have spoke today. It's really great opportunity. So thank you.
Agree. Absolutely. And thank you all. And until next time, we are Men Talking Mindfulness. Thanks again.
Peace. Thank you.
Thanks for joining Will and John on Men Talking Mindfulness. If you enjoyed the show, please like and share it with your friends and family. And please, we would appreciate a review too. Until next time, this has been Men Talking Mindfulness. Thanks for showing up.